We are now entering Washington, D.C. This episode is all about exploring the city of Washington, the President's City. So we're just doing a quick little flyover of Washington here. There we go, Assassin's Creed symbol. A little bit of an Easter egg there for the Assassin's Creed games, also produced by Ubisoft. Very different type of city to New York. Washington, D.C. is not actually in the state of Washington. It's in the state of Columbia, or it's in the District of Columbia. But as the airport is unfortunately closed at the moment, we are going to be landing on the road. So we're first going to look at the map of Washington. The famous part of Washington is here in the President's Park. Now this building here you will probably all recognize as the White House. Now we're going to be doing a little bit of exploring around the grounds of the White House. Obviously in real life you will not be able to go this close to the White House. You can see there's some barriers here protecting from the front. You've got the White House lawn just here. You've got the entrance into the White House up the famous stairs through the front door. On the other side they are doing a bit of construction work because at the moment for some reason you can just walk straight in and ask to use the bathroom. You got the Capitol building as well. The Capitol building was stormed during Donald Trump's time in the seat in Washington DC. But there are a few interesting facts about Washington. A lot of them obviously are about the White House, the presidencies, the famous presidents that have lived at the White House. Now two American presidents, Herbert Hoover and John Quincy Adams, had pet alligators at the White House. So for the time being we're just going to be doing a little bit of a drive around. So the famous landmarks in Washington. Got the Lincoln Memorial. You've got the Washington Memorial. You've got the National Mall here, which is where the Washington Tower is, which is this point here, which looks a little bit similar to Nelson's column. So this is known as the United States Capitol Building. The Capitol Building is probably one of the most famous buildings. And it's the seat of the legislative branch of the US federal government. So basically every decision that gets made in the US gets made in this building. And then you've got the National Column. That's this pointy needle looking building here. That's lovely in the sunset. Lovely shot of that just there. And it was built to commemorate George Washington, once Commander-in-Chief to the Continental Army in the American Revolutionary War, and he was the first president of the United States. So this is like a memorial for him. You've got the Lincoln Memorial just here. The Lincoln Memorial is obviously to commemorate the life of Abraham Lincoln. You can see him. That's not Lincoln. Where's Lincoln? Where's Abraham Lincoln? I don't think they kind of got the rights to have Abraham Lincoln sitting in his seat. So moving on to other landmarks around Washington. You've got probably the most famous building, and that is of course the White House. Now the White House is located just here. We're going to set the waypoint there to begin with. This is going to be the first location we go to. Got the famous White House lawn. Now the White House building has 132 rooms in it, 35 bathrooms, 6 levels, goes down 4 levels. There's 412 doors, 147 windows, 28 fireplaces, 8 staircases, 3 elevators. I'm not quite sure if we can actually... Oh, we can. They've kept the doors open for us. In real life I would be shot right now. Can I drive up the stairs of the White House? I think I'd be in a lot of trouble if I were to do this. Just waiting for the president to arrive. Just entered the vehicle. So there are also some underground tunnels, miles and miles of underground tunnels underneath the Capitol building for security purposes and for safety. They're for senators and for the members of the House only, and they're never seen by the public. Now we're just entering the National Mall. Now we're going to start down this end. So the mall is about 2 miles long and about 0.3 of a mile wide. This is obviously in real life, but the first landmark we're going to take a look at is in front of us here, the famous Lincoln Memorial. Some beautiful flowers which are unfortunately being ruined a little bit. So why is it called the National Mall? Now it's called the National Mall as we know it. It didn't really start to take shape until about the early 1900s. Thanks to the Macmillan Plan, old-fashioned Victorian landscaping was replaced with a long stretch of green grass, and railroad tracks were relocated, paving the way for world-class museums and national memorials. Now the National Mall is to kind of honor the lives of the world-famous presidents that were in the seat in the United States. Each year, more than 25 million people visit the National Mall. Now, to put that number into perspective, it's more than the number of visitors to Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon, Yosemite National Parks combined. All 3 of those combined, more people visit this stretch of grassland a year. You've got various different national museums. Now we're going to do another flyover towards the end of this episode. We're going to have a look at the different boroughs of Washington. Starting up in the top left, you've got the Foggy Bottom. It's a neighborhood kind of in Washington, stretching the north part of Washington, D.C. It's a government and cultural hub. So it's adjacent to the Presidential Park, It's the main commercial part of Washington. It's the home to the National Symphony Orchestra and the National Opera House in Washington as well. And then moving up towards downtown. Downtown is again on the other side of the White House. Now, downtown is seen more as where all the swanky hotels are, old school power broker bars near Washington. A couple of museums in here as well. Some beautiful architecture. Some of the buildings here, I like the different array of colors. You've got kind of the white modern buildings, you've got the dark art deco type buildings, you've got the contemporary. Let's have a bit of a flyover, I reckon, because the weather's coming in a little bit. It's quite difficult to see, but our pilot has just picked us up, and you can instantly tell it's not as high-rise buildings as in, say, New York. Washington is also home to the Pentagon, where the Central Intelligence Agency's home building is. Now, it's in the shape of a pentagon, which is obviously 5 sides, and that is located just over here. It's known as the Defense District. So we're gonna make our way over. I did make a call ahead of time. We've got security clearance to fly over the Pentagon building. Unfortunately, this was included in the target in the 9/11 attacks. A plane did go through the side of this building. Now, the Pentagon is located a little bit on the... Oh, almost lost a bit of control there. Pentagon is located just outside of Washington, D.C. There's a lot of taxis driving around by the Pentagon. Obviously, a lot of people don't drive. I'm sorry. So you got kind of the main entrance to the Pentagon building here. We're going to take a little detour. It's got a helicopter pad as well for where important leaders of the world, members of Congress, the president, when he needs to get to the Pentagon as quickly as possible, he will arrive by helicopter. Now, it's one of the most secure buildings in the world. Now, this is the building where all national decisions get made in terms of cybersecurity, terror attacks. Now, that concludes our tour of exploring Washington, D.C. Just made a quick call to the pilot. He's going to be picking us up just now, and we're going to be heading up north. We're going to do one last flyover of the Pentagon and heading up towards Detroit. It's about an hour and a half's flight, so I'll see you in Detroit. Thanks very much for watching, guys.